Good morning, folks. What the heck is this? That's crazy that Discord has ads in the frickin' in the console. Alright. Whoops, that's the wrong one. So we've got some stuff to do today. I think we're gonna start out with a little bit of hyperparameter work, and then we're gonna go on to some other algorithm stuff. All right. That is the plan for today. So we're gonna start with this, and we're gonna have to do some thinking about these experiments that appear to still be going. Okay. So here is our Pong result. Let's change this view over to this so we can do some proper analysis here. This is looking pretty good. If we look at this Pareto front here, score, 20 seconds, this is about on par with what we had before. I think we had a little bit more success over here, maybe. Like maybe we found a point that was like 18 point something in 20 score, but it's very, very close. Okay? And I mean, we've got the nice front, like we've got this portion of the curve, so you get 18 score in 16 seconds, right? It's interesting that you get this dip here, that there are, relatively way more points right here. I have to think about why this is. But then, yeah, there's 20.4, 20.6, 0.7. Yeah, so the thing of these points, a lot of these are not, well, hold on. It's actually the way the algorithm is designed. It doesn't run experiments unless there's a Pareto optimal point nearby. So let me find it. This is 20. Okay, these are 20.8 and 20.9, right? So it must have ran this one, which is 20.4. And then this is 20.6. And then here's 20.7. So like there are some Pareto points. Okay. This is a good curve. We can try to get this to be more cost effective a little bit because there are quite a few experiments out here. But this is not bad overall. Let's see. So we have sweet progress as well. Oh, this is a different graph. This is showing you, look at that. Pretty much all the runs are good. Yeah, literally all the runs are good runs. I think we missed 2. We get optimal learning rate at, we actually get a very nice graph of the learning rate sensitivity here. We get the relatively stable looking entropy. Here's your blob for lambda, very nice. For gamma, max grad norm. Interesting that it says that, looks like some of the best results are at 2. It seems pretty stable. VF coefficient, we get some results for this. 1 update epoch. That's kind of interesting. It doesn't do multiple updates. Okay, cool. 16 BPT horizon, that's fine. And num ms, 256 ms, okay. And the sweep cost, yeah, this is the one that's a little bit sketchy. You know, where it spends a lot of these. There's too much up here, essentially. Batch size, optimal 130K. And total time steps versus score. We have good results under 10 million. Okay. Well, we should be pretty happy with that. And then mini batch size goes down as low as... okay, I see how it works. So instead of doing multiple update epochs, it just put the mini batch down really small. It's actually kind of interesting that that works. Yeah, there's going to be some good data we can get out of these. So the nice thing with Neptune is we can literally download all this for analysis and do all sorts of stats on this. So this is the Pong one. Now we look at breakout. We have this whole other batch. This did pretty well. It's a little unfortunate that we don't have, we still don't have a full solve for this one though. Still do not have a full solve. I'm gonna actually let me message Spencer on this, because Spencer did some of the baselines. Let's see if he remembers. $721 is the best so far. The sweep progress over time is pretty darn good though. So this basically just says, hey, you should have run more of these. Got learning rate here. Entropy. This one actually does seem to need a bit of entropy. Lambda. Somewhere in there. Gamma, it's very weird that there's so many of these experiments at minimum gamma when the optimal's up here, so we'll have to look at that. This is potentially red flag. Max grad norm, this is pretty good, 1.5, VF coefficient, 0.7. This one does explore multiple update epochs, you can see. Looks to get better, 2, 3, 4, yeah. Horizon, 32. 512 or 256 ms, okay. And big batch sizes. Do we have mini batch size? Okay, that's bizarre that it's going to do 1024 mini batch on this. Ham available. Oh, cool. Yeah, give me 1 minute and then we'll look at those masks, Captain. Just want to know what the heck is wrong with the gamma. That's the only thing I wanted to figure out first. Let's see. Oh, it's actually perfectly fine. It's just like wide samples at the start, so we can maybe adjust the sample range a little bit, but it's just some wide samples at the start. So this is perfectly fine. This is perfectly fine. Actually, update epochs. This looks good. Yeah, so everything is good. The parameters it finds are pretty janky, but we can't argue with the score. So that just means that we have more analysis to do. But this is very good. Cool. So we'll look at the algorithm a little bit more and think about it after we look at this thing with Captain here. So apparently I broke something with masks. Let's take a look. All right, Captain, what are we looking at? Hop in VC? Sure.
Hey,
Hey,
can you?
yeah, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. We have this is a simpler version of the same algorithm, but it looks like we're actually getting some stuff. So we have a baseline to work off of.
What was simplified?
So it turns out that the Gaussian processes are really only directionally correct. You can't really use them to like estimate improvement over nearest point or stuff like that. It's very inaccurate. So we're only using them to essentially rank a bunch of candidate points, and then we're picking the cost randomly. We're essentially saying like run an experiment of random cost, and then get the best point that you can there.
Hmm. So the goal initially was to kind of like slowly increase the cost budget or whatever, but that doesn't really seem feasible. Or
Well,
maybe later.
this was the baseline, right? So like
Gotcha.
this was something that I knew would work because it removes a lot of the degenerate cases.
Gotcha.
So and this is actually like we have this matches pretty much our best sweep curve from
Hmm.
Pong. We get a really clean Pareto front. Now the only question on it is can we do it in less runtime, right? Can we make the
Yeah.
sweep faster? And the breakout one actually looks good as well. It again, it takes a while. So and like we have multiple knobs we can tune to improve that. So I'll be looking at that today, tomorrow, whatever. Let's fix this
Cool.
math thing. You said that there's an issue with this.
Yeah, so we can look at the commit range system if you want, but like it's so simple. Like I looked over it a couple times. I don't think I did anything wrong. So basically, yeah, I noticed when I was training teams, like I had two agents on one team and two scripted bots on the other team. Like it just wasn't learning, and I'm like, that's weird. And I tried some things. I'm just like, well, I don't know, maybe I implemented teams wrong. Tried to do another like just 1v1 like drone versus sitting duck run, and it
Mhm.
just like didn't do anything. I was like, well, that's weird. So I finally bisected it back to the commit where I introduced masks. I commented out like the basically setting of the masks to 0. And the run went like I did another training run. It was perfectly fine, like normal.
Well, can I see
Um,
how you did the masking?
sure. Uh,
Just
let
link it.
me yeah, let me pull up that exact commit. Um, did I do it in here? Yes. I'll send it in the VC chat channel. I added teams as well, but like the overall diff is not huge. That's just my demo file or benchmark file, yeah. So yeah, this is where, if you go down a little further, is where I actually use them. So yeah, I added it as a argument to initenv, and then I passed that in. You can see I passed in a Python, and the ordering is correct because like I passed them in the correct as the correct argument. Because when I stop using them, everything works fine. Yeah, I just set them all to 1 when it resets, episode resets, and then when an agent dies, I set it to 0 if you keep going down further. Yeah, right there. If, up a little bit where I set the mass to 0.
Is this setting it in order?
Yeah, so basically I'm looping over all the drones, but they're all the drones may not be agents. So basically, if this drone is an agent and it's dead, then I set the mask to be 0.
This is the correct check. Like that, like the index of the drone is going to be like the ones that are alive are going to be in order or something.
Well, no, so the way I do it is so you have n number of drones, right? Usually it's like 2 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, if you have less agents than you do drones, then I set the first like so ever many. Say you have like 2 agents and you have 4 drones, right? So the first 2 drones will be agents, and the last 2 drones will be bots. So I know if
Oh,
okay,
okay.
if yeah. So if we have 2 agents, then drone 1 or 2 or 0 or 1 are going to be agents, so I can safely set the masks and terminals and all that.
So have you tried training this thing just commenting this out?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. So
And it
when I
trains.
comment, yeah, when I do that, it trains perfect. It trains
Okay.
like, like it did before. And when I don't comment that out, when I set the mass to 0, I can show you the curve. It's a completely different curve.
Let's see.
Like it does learn, but way slower, and it caps. So against a sitting duck opponent, after a billion steps, I think the win rate is like less than half. And normally it trains like 90 something percent over a billion
How
steps.
many agents are there? Just two?
Just one. I was just trying to, figure out this behavior with just one agent, one sitting duck.
Uh, Hang on. Let me just. Twitch is this obnoxious thing where you have to ban these bots constantly.
Oh
There we
yeah,
go. It's
strange.
like so incredibly obnoxious. I don't know how the hell they haven't fixed this shit yet. Um, I guess X hasn't fixed it either. Like it used to be my DMs were flooded with the sex bots, and now it's the crypto bots. It's just bullshit.
I don't know which
Um,
is worse.
yeah. Honestly, let's see. So yeah, curve is in BC.
Oh, let me post it. Let me find it.
We definitely want this working, and I'd like to have a confirmation that continuous actions work because we're going to be using that for a separate project, like
Yeah.
pretty much now
All
or
right.
whenever. So I think Spencer has that Pong. Probably going to
Yeah,
do that
I
one
saw you
first.
get a PR for that.
I got to
Okay.
merge this
I
thing
have
in.
set mass, one's no mass. Is this one?
Yeah, it's kind of
Okay.
rough because in order to really do like good IC on like new algorithms and new stuff like the hyperparameter thing, I kind of have to ignore a bunch of other stuff for several days. So yeah, I haven't looked at some of the new merges and stuff yet,
Yeah, it makes sense.
but hmm, it's
Well, I'm
very
actually
interesting
on
when I do that. So
I'm actually on 2.0 too, so I'm not like on like dev or
Yeah,
anything.
no, you should be on 2.0. Dev is there's all
Yeah, here
sorts
we
of
go.
fancy stuff on dev. You will be PRing it to dev.
Yeah,
I
yeah, that makes
most
sense.
likely because I would let you to PR to 2.0 if we look through the env code and it was good, except for the theming stuff. So it's pretty much whenever you do something that's like that needs some time to see if it's good, that's when you get stuck on onto dev.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like Spencer did the same thing, had the same thing where he like messed with my setup file. It's basically if you give me a clean PR, I'll put it to 2.0. Um,
Yeah, no, makes sense.
and then we'll
So
look
yeah,
at
the
showing the
main thing to
rail.
look at,
These
well,
were the
obviously,
two
yeah, like
curves, or
what's that?
these are not the two curves. This is one experiment, right?
Yeah, this is one. So I posted both. This is the one with mass. You can see the win rate kind of like never really gets above 50. And then, yeah, this is like a standard like run that I'd expect. Yeah, there you go. And it's weird because in
Is
this
it
scenario,
possible that
mass.
something is weirdly scaled? Because okay, so it's one agent, right?
Yep, on both these, it's one agent.
So when you're masking something out, what's even getting masked? It should be resetting when the agent dies, right?
Exactly. So that's what's so strange about this.
So
So
the
the
mask
only
should
thing
never
I'm
come
doing.
into play.
Exactly. Yeah.
I wonder if it's
So
the
basic.
terminal. I think you probably do lose the terminals.
Oh, do you?
So let me explain something to you that's like, since you're trying to get into this more research side as well, so you want
Sure.
RL background, right? So like if it's helpful, I try to like share things when
Yeah, no, that's good.
so there's this weird quirk with RL that makes a lot of infra really obnoxious, right? Which is just the way that it's set up. So you get like observation 0, right? Action, and then you do action 0, obs 1, 1, obs 1. And then let's say the agent dies here. Okay.
Hmm.
You end up with an extra observation compared to action.
Oh, right, because you're giving it like the terminal observation and it
Mm-hmm.
can't act because it's already dead,
Well,
right?
but the thing is, you kind of have to choose because, like, so you observe something and then you act,
Hmm.
and then you observe something and then you act, and you would like to have this observation because this is what you use to like for the final bootstrap value. But if you include this observation, then it screws up the length of your buffers and stuff, and then you miss the first
Mm.
action. Like you can't, you miss the first action. So it's
Huh.
kind of like tricky to figure out how, because you have to reset the environment here somewhere, right? Because then when you
Yeah.
reset the environment, it's going to give you a fresh ob 0. So it'll give you 2 in a row.
Yeah.
So this is why there end up being a whole bunch of boundary issues in RL. I have no idea how much they're actually important. This would actually be, because we make some approximations in PufferLib that could be screwing us in places. This would be a great
Mm.
spot to look for potential screw ups.
Hmm. So you're thinking basically by including the masks, like somehow maybe the
I think
terminals are getting missed or something?
yeah, we're probably cutting off a terminal or something. But I'd kind of be surprised if that was the issue. I mean, I guess I could see it. If you don't know the terminals, then you compute generalized advantage estimation kind of over one giant trajectory,
Mm.
which can probably screw stuff up. But yeah, sure, we're resetting the environment as soon as the agent dies, right?
Yeah, so because there's only two agents or two drones, I should say, two players basically. Yeah, I have logic. It's basically like the round is over when the amount of dead players exceed or equal the amount of total drones minus one. So if one dies, two minus one is one, and that's greater than or equal to one. So yeah, basically like yeah, if there's like one or zero players left, then the round's over.
Okay. Hmm.
So I was thinking if we want to ensure this is not like some issue with me or something, but like again, like just by
I could see it
I have
being an
verified,
issue with Puffer. Because
yeah,
you're like I can show you right here. So the way that this works, masks.
yeah, it's around line 400 or something. I was looking, like it's like a torch.where filters on them, and like when you store an experience buffer.
Yeah, so this is the thing, it just doesn't get stored.
Yeah.
So this is used for dead agents because normally what would happen is you just get done and then it would reset the next time step. So you would actually
Yeah.
get the done. This is actually important because this affects GPU drive and other environments as well.
Hmm.
Okay. How interested are you um in this particular thing in Puffer? Because if you want to get into like trajectory bounds and if you want to help us like really fix trajectory bounds and like run some experiments, I have some ideas. If you just want to like figure out how to patch this in the context of your end and like we do like some smaller thing to Puffer, I can also do that as well.
Hmm.
Um, so option one would be we find some way to make sure that we just get the last observation or whatever in. So like we apply mask one step later, right?
What do we do with the action then? Do we just set like the actions to, I don't know, just like all zeros or something?
Well,
Because
the
then you
thing
say
is,
that
it's resetting. It's resetting anyways, right? So it would just be when an agent dies, you get the done signal, right?
Mhm.
And then the next step, you set the mask.
Mm.
So that's
Oh,
one option.
so that would be how I do it. Basically, that's how I'd fix it in my end without having
Mhm.
to modify puffer, right?
Yes. And the other option is if you wanted to help with, because I've actually had like multiple questions about the way that we handle trajectory bounds and stuff, right? And I've mostly said, it's probably not an issue most of the time, but I don't actually know. Um, so the other option would be that if you've seen like the ocean sanity M's,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay, you'd make like a couple little sanity M's where like you need the last state or whatever in order to solve the task.
Hmm.
And you would see like if we can train these, and then we would essentially modify the mask, the way that we do masks, or the way that we handle, in the script or in vectorization, to make sure that this works for handling episode bounds correctly. So those would be the two options.
I think I'm interested in solving it, like actually solving it.
Okay, that would be a very good contribution because this is like one of the more, this is one of the approximations that kind of bothers me more that I've made. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know if we're probably not correctly doing like value bootstrapping and stuff as well. Like there's a bunch of episode bound shenanigans, essentially. And I don't really have a great answer to, I still don't have a great answer to this fundamental thing, which is, where is it?
Give me 1 second.
I guess I closed the window, but I don't have a great answer to the extra observation thing yet. Um,
Okay. Sorry, what were you saying?
I don't have a great answer to the extra observation thing at the
Hmm.
moment. I think Torch RL handles this correctly, but I don't know if they do it in a remotely efficient way.
Yeah.
Because like
Hmm.
I've seen people like smuggle last obs into infos and stuff before, and frankly, that's just moronic.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen some stuff in
Yeah.
Stable Baselines 3 do that.
Yeah, that's just stupid. That's just like shit programmers making stuff slow. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so you probably do want the last observation. Um, it's really useful because I like that's like your goal state, I guess. So basically, like what's happening most of the time is if you're dropping the last observation, which is I think what we do by default in our environments when we're resetting. If you drop the last observation, then you're basically the puffer is just it's like you're learning that you're getting one away from the goal state, then you learn to
Yeah,
map the last
exactly.
action anyways. Um, I didn't think that's going to be too big of an issue. I think probably the bigger issue is the math, honestly. Like I'd
Yeah.
actually be fine with keeping the obs thing the way it is as long as we can fix the mask, because I think the mask is actually killing the. I think it's killing the second to last observation most likely. Um, and well, the thing that I think it's most likely doing for sure is going to be cutting up boundaries between between like cutting up agent boundaries essentially.
Hmm.
So like if an agent doesn't respawn instantly,
Yeah,
this
that's
would
where
be a
it's
good
useful
thing to
for. Yeah.
handle. Like so essentially, if we could do this correctly, then what we might be able to do out of this to give you some idea is I think we could probably handle environments with like dynamic number of agents a lot more easily just by like
Oh, really?
masking and yeah, because we could like whenever there's not an agent there, you mask, right, and then you just put a new agent there. I think you could do it if we were
Hmm.
to handle this stuff correctly. It's not stuff that I have as top of mind because like I I will say my interests are very much in this because like my long-term thing, right? I want to eventually have like neural MMO 7 or something for AI. What does
Hmm.
masking mean? So Tyler, so masking here, this is a niche thing that's probably not applicable to your thing, but in multi-agent environments, if an agent dies, you need to not include like padding data in the optimization because that'll screw stuff up. So if you have 100 agents and 30 of them are dead, then you don't want to include 30% buffer data in learning. So you need some way to mask that out. But yeah, Captain. So long term, I want Puffer to be able to scale to like really awesome, multi-agent complex environments and stuff. I haven't been doing that as much personally because we're trying to fix core RL first.
Yeah,
But
yeah, makes sense.
I this would kind of handle both because I think this will make it easier in the long term to do stuff, but also there's like very immediate stuff that this would help with. Like if you find
Yeah.
something major here, like this could help with GPU drive and stuff as well.
Okay. Um. Hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think about how to handle this.
I mean, you would make a couple of these test M's for checking purposes, and
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
the mask could be. I wonder, can we do it off of done somehow? Let me think.
Like maybe we special case if the mask, like the first I forget what you call it. The first, like the grouping of observation, value, action, all that. What's that called? Like one state, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm
whatever.
forgetting. Yeah.
Sarsa.
So basically, the first state that has mask to be 0 and is like done,
Mm-hmm.
then we special case that maybe.
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to think how we can do this without having to do it in all the M's because technically what we could do, right, is we could just say that the M's returns. We could just make our M's, our puffer M's, return done, like repeatedly whenever an agent is done. Okay. So like whenever an agent isn't there, it could return all dones. So like if there's no agent there, right? If the agent is dead, you get a done true, and then the mask would just be you essentially the mask is false on the first done, and then it's true all subsequent dones thereafter until done is false. And then we could automatically compute mask for most of the M's. That would work, right?
I think so.
So
Um,
if you get 2 duns in a row, essentially, the second one gets masked. If you get 3 duns in a row, the second and third one get masked.
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like what I'm saying. You skip the first
Uh-huh.
like state that has.
Well, you have to, but
So,
you have to actually, you have to change it because now I don't know if we set done equal true when agents are dead. I don't think we have any environments where agents are dead other than yours because I've specifically avoided it because I know it's a pain in the ass. Um, but if so, I think that yours would be the only one where we even would have to mess with it.
okay.
But we could say going forward, right? Environments are supposed to return done if the agent is dead, and then mask can just be auto computed for you based on that. And obviously, you could override it, right? If you have some other masking agenda.
Hmm. So would that be the correct behavior though? Because right now, the way I'm using masking is like I'm doing stuff in like
Mask.
basically it's elimination game mode. So like if you die, you're dead. But I'd like to maybe later have like a game mode where you have multiple lives. And so then when you die, like I'd basically just mask out while you're respawning, and then
Yeah, that would be fine though, because you would just have. Let's say that if you respawn instantly, the mask wouldn't even get applied because you get a single done
yep.
signal or no done
Hmm.
signal at all, right?
Hmm.
If you like, you could have no done signal at all there as well. It depends how you want
Yeah.
to define it. Um, and if there is a respawn time, then you'll have the done signal and you'll have maps during the respawn time, but that's it. And then you
But
can
what I'm
you can flip done back to false after you
yeah,
respawn.
but what I'm thinking is like we're saying done is the and or the or like basically done is terminated or truncated in this context, right?
Um,
Like we're just kind of
the
calling that
mask
done.
done, yeah, done is terminated or truncated.
Okay, so but what I'm thinking is whenever you set done to be true, you're signifying to like the RL algorithm, like, okay, this episode is over for this agent. But what I'm thinking is if you're respawning, to me, it depends on your game, but for me, think of like, say, Smash Brothers or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're playing a game where you have like one-on-one opponent and you both have
Mm,
3 stocks,
okay.
I wouldn't count each episode or each stock as an episode. I would count the whole round as an episode. So done,
So then you would mask, but you wouldn't set done, right? You would
yeah.
mask everything, and you wouldn't even include the first done. You would just mask everything, right?
But I'm just saying, like, this scheme might not work in that case because if we're
Well, you would
computing
override
mass,
the auto. You would override the like. If we made an auto one for you, you'd override the auto mask. Um, I mean, we don't have to have an auto mask. We can just make a utility function that does that if you want it.
hmm,
Um,
yeah, I see.
right? So, but in that case, what you would do is, I think you still want to mask out the respawn time if there is one.
Yes, yes,
The
I
alternative, which
agree.
is what I've done with Neural MMO, because this is a pain in the ass, is to just not have a respawn time.
Hmm. Oh, so there seems to be respawn time in the game, but basically, like, as far as RL's concerned, like it just pausing, like that's just a render thing.
Well, if you're including, I actually don't think it would be terrible because there's not that much of it. You're just kind of like the RL agent can't act, so you're giving it
Yeah,
useless data in
yeah,
the buffer, right? Because there's nothing it
yeah,
can do to change the result. I guess technically it's still getting information for the value function for the respawn time like that. So it might not be terrible to not mask the respawn because it's still getting information it can use for the value function, right? Like it is actually important to see what's going on while you're respawning, right?
hmm, yeah. It might actually
Hmm.
be true.
So I think you actually just might not need to mask this stuff at all. The only thing that you do need to mask, right, is if it is like an elimination game and like the agent
Yeah.
is done, end of round, it can't do anything anymore, right? Then you need to mask.
Yeah, and you could also so
Battle
in my
Royale.
current state, in my current like, and that's the way it is. The mode is
Hmm.
just set to be elimination. But in the future, that might be useful. Yeah, you're actually right to not mask out the respawn time, and then I could just add something to observation to say like, hey, like you're respawning, you can't
Yeah.
act. So eventually, it could learn. it can't do anything,
Yeah.
maybe.
So if you want to
But
fix
as
this,
far
this is how you would go. If I were building your environment and I didn't want to deal with it, what I would have done is I would have just made it like the game runs for a fixed amount of times and it's max kills with instant respawn time.
yeah, um, yeah, right now with the elimination though, I kind of have to handle it
Okay.
if I'm doing like teams
Well,
and
it's a
stuff.
useful thing for us to handle. So
Yeah.
if you want to, I mean, if you want to look at the masking and see if you can fix some stuff there, I think probably if even like yeah for GPU drive that'd probably be useful as well because we are probably missing the terminals.
Hmm.
Now, sorry to interrupt. Out of just curiosity, is this like a single agent learning or a multi agent learning? Is the whole reason you're discussing this?
This only applies to multi-agent.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've been not in and out of the conversation, but in and out of listening to the conversation because that I'm working on a multi-agent one, but I don't
Oh yeah, your
exactly.
environment. How's that? You had a pretty nice little environment there. It's it's kind of funny that you just tried to like make your own neural MMO.
Yeah, so I'm dubbing it Gridscape. So it's
Yeah.
a 2D top-down representation of RuneScape.
You real like
Um,
it's dude,
yeah,
that's literally what
yeah,
I wanted to do with that's literally exactly what I wanted to do with Neural MMO. RuneScape is a 2D top down. It's literally internally that's how the game's represented.
yeah. And there are, because what led me down this rabbit hole was quite literally watching you do Neural MMO
Yeah.
3, and then there
It's a great
are.
project. It's just hard.
Yeah, there are just a couple of nuances that I'm going to handle differently. Like instead of dynamically creating a map, it's just going to be a static map every time, things like that.
That actually makes learning
Um,
harder a lot of the time.
I'm aware, but I'm not looking, it's not like story driven. It's how, like, essentially how many levels can you collect across the whole thing. And like, I'm looking at it more as of like a world sim.
Hey,
But anywho.
we're happy to have more RL environments to play with, right? So
Yeah, I'm stuck because I refuse to use Raylib, um, and Curse's colors in C is actually driving me up a wall.
yep. I don't
Why do
know
I
you
why
refuse to
people
use
refuse to
actually,
use
Raylib?
Raylib. Raylib is just good. I mean, it's cool to have zero dependency environments, right? But Raylib is like, it's so damn good that it's like Raylib's worth it in my opinion. It's just one of the best pieces of software I've seen.
I agree. I just don't want to deal with the artwork. I just want colored symbols rendered to terminal, and
You can
because
use
it's
it to
going to
render
be
the
multi.
text. I guess that's kind of
Look,
dumb, but yeah.
well, look at it this way. It's so evaluating this, it's not going to be like my intentions are not to make it human playable for evaluating when agents have trained. It will be human playable through a client,
Hmm.
but the simple start the world, start the training, it will render one giant map attached to no player that you can scroll around and use it kind of like the Pokemon map
Hmm.
that we do live streaming with.
All right.
That is the idea there.
Yeah, I did both in Neural MMO, right?
I was wondering just because I don't really, I guess, am I still like loading all agents in an array into the environment, but just like putting them all on the same grid struct instead of like reinitializing the struct for every single agent?
You should look at the way that I did it in Neural MMO. That is the correct data structure for this type of environment.
I know there's so many lines in there I have to read
No, dude,
though.
this is a third of the length of Neural MMO2, and half of
I
it's rendering.
know.
It's literally like it's
It's
probably 2,000
only,
lines of actual code for
I
all of
think
this.
it's two or three
If
thousand
you remove
lines,
the rendering,
including Raylib.
yeah, if you remove the rendering, it's probably like 2K lines for all this. I really love this
Yeah,
thing. I want to actually do a lot more with this in the future as well. It's just like we've got to get I've got to get like core RL into a good spot, and then we can do more of this fun stuff.
Oh, you're good. I mean, my turnaround would probably be quicker, but I'm quite literally learning C
No, I mean
from the
you and
basics
Bet
doing
have
this.
both been doing great on like the learning side. It's just like I get it. It's really really freaking hard to like actually get good at programming at the start. There's like this kind of this learning curve where nothing really makes sense at the start, and then you get good enough to the point that like you can build stuff and it's really cool and you can do all sorts of little things, and then you sort of get stuck when you try to start doing your first mid-sized project because it's like it's really hard to go from building small scale
Yep.
to building mid-scale, and you need to learn new stuff for that. And then you have to unlearn a bunch of stuff because all the programming resources suck, right? Yeah. Almost looks like
Yeah.
Factorio. I I mean
Yeah,
I don't know,
that's
Splinter,
very
if
similar
you've
to my
seen that
experience.
this is my whole like this is my thesis technically, right? This is the follow up on my PhD
This
thesis.
is quite literally the thesis, yes.
Yeah, the idea here, and it kind of depends. If you want like the very very defensible version of it, it's we need more complex environments so that we can train and evaluate better RL algorithms that will then be applicable to more complex environments. If you want the crazy crackpot version of it, right? It's this is an alternate path to artificial general intelligence is you just train something in a massively complex simulation and have it develop more and more reusable skills over time that can then be useful in other places. um,
I'll be
yeah.
honest, my bar for my completed environment is more complex skill-wise than Neural MMO3. I want to have like
That's gonna be
literally
tough.
27 skills.
All the RuneScape skills that yeah, you're like, man, the thing is I tried to do that exact same thing. um, Well, you actually, to be fair, it's probably easier now because I tried to do that exact same thing for like 10 years. And
Uh,
I
it,
got I got
I,
stuck on the thing is I got stuck on RL infra, and now I've solved RL infra with Puffer. So you might be able to.
I was gonna say because I've got the Python project completed. I am literally just porting it over to C. So like I have like the skills outlined and how to do it. Unfortunately, there is a lot of like boilerplate code dealing with like skills and all that because like XP and leveling's just always the same. Um,
Yeah, I just
Dynamic attack types based off like what you're attacking, and then different like AoEs and like distance attacks and things like that. So really, it is to me right now boiling down to skill diff and not understanding C, just because I have pretty much the entire project lined out. It's just trying to
yeah.
figure out how to create a massive amount of tiles without, I allocate one tile. I can't divvy that across everything because then when I free that and then access that pointer, then all of them are just fucked.
So, okay, I do need to get back to the algorithm stuff shortly
You're good.
because, but
You're
I
good.
will ask you. So I've tried to tell you and that at the start, like I would allocate if I were you 80% of your time that you're gonna spend on this stuff to actually writing code, but 20% to formal materials. Have you gone through like, intro CS stuff?
Yeah. So I've done Stanford and MIT courses. I'm currently watching. Let me shout out this guy
Like,
real quick.
you probably need a
Nesso
portion.
Academy.
You probably need like a portion of 107. Like I'm guessing you just don't understand like heap and stack and really how pointers work and stuff like this.
I would say like I understand the heap, not necessarily the stack and how it passes the variables down, because right now I'm literally like initializing my grid in main, and then
Hmm.
I'll like create a tile object and call it something like wall to make a perimeter around the entire array. But because I'm justifying that one wall is now my pointer, if I free that one wall tile, the whole perimeter gets messed up because I essentially freed what is written to all those tiles and it's pointing at nothing. Hashtag null pointer.
I don't think that's how it works. Yeah, I think you're getting yourself
Yeah,
confused.
pointers, pointers are my struggle right
The
now.
thing is, like, okay, if you, yeah, your microcontrollers, that might be a bit too much. I think he's just getting confused with, like, he probably thinks that he's writing to, like, oh, I'm writing to this truck. This is the tile on the wall, but it's not. It's like you don't like write to this truck and then move it to the next position and write to it or something. Like you're just writing the same thing over and over in memories.
Yes, I have a structure called tile, and then in grid, I essentially do tile star star array because I'm creating a pointer to a row that
Yeah,
is
don't do
a
that.
row of pointers to the whole array.
You don't ever really need to deal with double pointers, man. Like you're just confusing yourself. I just make
I
yeah.
understand the devil star in my head kind of makes more sense than,
Well, it's also
square
slower.
brackets.
Yeah, it's also slower than a 1D. It's also slower. But yeah, you're probably just getting yourself confused with like what you're actually writing to cuz when
Yeah.
like you're not free, you shouldn't be able to free all your I'll look at it at some point for you, but I will say it sounds like you're just
It's one
getting
of the
confused with
things,
basic system stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
where like I create a singular tile and I have a pointer to that singular tile. We'll call it wall. That one wall tile is going to get applied to the whole perimeter of the array.
Well,
And
then
then if I
the thing
do
is
anything to
you
that
copy the
one wall
data.
tile,
You're copying the data from the wall to the perimeter, so you should not be freeing the perimeter if you free the wall. If you are, you're doing
yeah,
something weird.
I think
I
I'm
think you're
doing like
copying the
a
pointer. You're probably copying the pointer to the wall instead of copying the data. Like you're just getting confused with basic system stuff.
I could actually tell you what I'm doing there really quick.
Man, I do need to do
Um,
this stuff because like I only like I get a morning dev session to do hyperparameter stuff, and then after this I have to work on client stuff for the rest of the day. So I do need to get like my progress in for the day on this. Um,
yeah, I do strn copy, and then I just copy the tile to where it's supposed to be in the array.
okay, I don't know, Linky. I'll look at that later.
Yeah, you're good.
Captain, do you have
You do
are
you.
you good on the math stuff? Do you have like a decent plan, or did we not finish that?
Uh, so kind of like I get what you're saying about creating like the sanity evs to do quick testing. Um, but I'm just confirming. So
Okay.
you don't really have a
In the meantime, just take your current thing and set the math one time step later and see if that fixes it. Like that'll at
yeah
least be a quick test to see if this is actually the issue.
yeah. So if that actually is the issue, then it's something that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, so if that is the issue, then I'd say we add a couple test stems and then we make some like helper thing to do this for you. Um, and then I'll just tell the GPU drive folks, hey, we should probably fix this.
Okay. I mean, okay, if that is the fix, just setting the the first mass to be after the actually yeah, what we talked about. Like, do we just maybe just is it too much to ask for people to just do that for buffer M's? Do you think?
It's fine for now because it's only for multi-agent M's with dynamic number of agents. It's very niche.
Yeah.
So
So could the fix just be like to document that, or is that like just
yeah, fix could
that?
totally be to document that. Um, yeah,
But yeah, I'll just try and see if it works. I guess.
yeah. Like we don't have to
Cool.
go crazy with it. So I'd say yeah, just do that for now, and I will get back to this stuff. And yeah,
Yep.
we will
Sounds
see from
good.
there. Okay, thanks, folks. I will be back later around, but I want to finish this for the next hour on stream or whatever.
Sure.
All right.
Thanks.
Yep.
You
See you.
good?
Bye. Okay, back to stream. So for YouTube folks, what we were doing before this, we were working on this hyperparameter sweep algorithm that I've been developing. And we have some good data back from this thing. And now it's going to be a question of what we change on the algorithm. If we keep it this way, if we keep running more experiments, what we do. I'm looking at breakout here. So over like close to 200 experiments, this expands out to about quadruple the initial cost. You can definitely solve breakout in that time. It's just not finding it, I think. And let me see why not. I think it's finding some pretty screwy parameters here as well. So the update epochs thing, it is finding this. It's got like reasonable num-m's here. Kind of funky mini batch sizes, but okay. Does something kind of funny here with gamma. It pushes gamma down and then it pushes gamma back up. Here's our Pareto front. So these points are probably outliers, but the current algorithm should be robust to that. Oh, this is still running apparently as well. It'll finish running 14 more experiments. I mean, that's a long time for a sweep to run on a breakout, though. Maybe I should go look at the previous parameters. We go look at like the previous breakout parameters. Spencer reply. The best way to predict. You can just build things. I think Spencer, does he have it on Wanpy or does he have it on Neptune? I thought he'd linked me as Neptune before. He says he has new parameters that solve breakout. I want to see what's different from what our algorithm has discovered. Because we should have been able to get these. I mean, it's probably just like hang on. Stream. Can I just do this? Nope. He'll probably link them soon. Interesting, it only goes up to 400 million time steps. Mostly say is pretty low. It must really be driving down the performance. Oh yeah, this isn't gonna have it either, huh? Did he add parameters here? He hasn't added them in here. I think these were based on his original parameters, weren't they? Yeah, okay, so this was an original breakout sweep, right? Okay, yeah, this is totally different. So what happened here that was so different? These were locked to 0.5. This thing ended on 512 M's. This is going to be great data for us because this is going to show where the current algorithm is failing. This, do it like this. And I will put my screen like this. So score, let's see, cost, Batch size stays pretty low on these ones. Time step stays low. Finds a very low learning rate, way lower than otherwise. Gamma stays similar. Their gamma is lower. Lambda is also lower. Finds 4 update epochs instantly. EMS is similar. Is it really the gradient norm? That would seem weird to me. Oh, did it just find a solve point? I think it did just find a solve point. Seriously? Just link breakout? Thanks. So we're having a weird issue where it's not your sweep looks way. What algorithm is this running for this sweep? Oh, this is very high cost. Pareto genetic, okay. So the thing that I'm looking at here, Spencer, which is really weird, right? So this is my sweep with the new algorithm, new protein algorithm. And we get, here's the solve point. It takes way longer because it takes longer to go up to the cost, that high cost. I think it's pretty similar on cost to yours. 2,000. So this is actually cheaper, it looks like, or comparable maybe. But then the thing that's weird is if we go to this old sweep from neocarbs, we had 600-second solves. So I don't know what happened here. I know, why is this so different now? This is the old Pareto front we had, and this is the new one. I know I had faster solve times with annealing. Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that is it. Really, it's the annealing. Hmm. I could try that. I mean, I could just once this finishes, I could run a new sweep with the kneeling on. Been able to find a solution. Let the tuning algorithm enable or disable it. That's fine, Captain. The one thing is that I think that the way that we do stuff at the moment, annealing will mess up. I think it'll cause the algorithm to get less data because we're using the whole training curve at the moment. And if we use the whole training curve, I think it'll get messed up by having variable learning rate. Nailing trips out with time steps up. Yeah. Run 2 sweeps. Yeah, I will launch. I will launch after this one. I can relaunch this with annealing. That'd be crazy if that's the difference. It actually likes particularly, like, it starts off with relatively high learning rate being best here. I can relaunch mine with Pareto Genetic as well. Yeah, that'd be good. It would be good to know if this is the actual issue. Okay, so if breakout, maybe that explains breakout. Yeah, Spencer, the current result from protein, we get this. This is pretty good. It's expensive. It's more expensive than it should be, but this is pretty decent. Yeah, Pong. Discrete. So 22nd for 20 score is our best. I think what I would like to do, I'd like to find an environment that has a better Pareto curve. Actually, it's kind of ironic, like breakout just takes too long, but breakout without annealing kind of has a nice Pareto curve to it, right? Where is it? We actually kind of want an environment for which the Pareto curve actually looks like this, where like you do better by spending more compute. So I think we're going to try out a bunch of them. Run sweeps after, get back to Dallas. All right, cool. Yeah, that is good to know, though, that it's the annealing. I'm going to actually just start the annealing sweep real quick. Wait, what? I actually don't know what's running this process. This is my sweep, isn't it? Yeah. Whoops. Break out. Okay, so we're just going to change this, nothing else. I don't know how the driver keeps crashing like that. It's just the driver, right? Because this I don't ever have to reboot the box, just the container. API token. One sec, Spencer. Five-minute solve, really? I'll look at that. Okay, so we've got that running. And now you're telling me we have 5-minute solve. If we have 5-minute solve, this would actually be a really nice env to play with. Shit, you do have 5-minute solve. Is this a sweep with? Yeah, we don't have all the graphs we'd want, but we should make sure we can replicate this run as well. 5 update epochs. This is the crazy value function coefficient one as well, you see? This is the crazy value function stuff. So we have to look at that if it's making that much of a difference. There's something screwy with value function. I'd really like to understand what's going on with this. Yeah, look, all the best runs, you see all the good runs have like this stupid low value function coefficient. So there's something to that. So we'll test annealing and see if that makes a difference, and then we'll test this value function shenanigans. I think I'm gonna go get some breakfast and let this sweep run. I have some other work to do afterwards, so I'm gonna the plan is gonna be let this sweep run, and then I will come back and do some exploration work locally, and then we'll come back to sweeps later. All right. For the folks on YouTube, thanks for joining me for morning session. All this stuff is here. It's free. It's open source. You can find it on puffer.ai. Start the GitHub to help us out. Join the Discord. We're almost at 1,000 members in there. And follow on X for more RL content. Exploration work will be on stream. It will be, I'm going to go get breakfast first. And then we'll do the exploration work live on stream after that. Get breakfast, maybe get some exercise, do some stuff. And I'll be back in probably early afternoon. So